Meet my brand new Uxie, stacked up with TMs just the way I wanted it, and it's also a gentle nature, which boosts special defense, but lowers defense. That's why I gave it Reflect instead of Light Screen in the end. So, now we're gonna go after Uxie, and no. You know what? I'm gonna keep Giratina in the lead. The reason why I'm doing this is that Vaporeon is going to be pretty much useless for this, because Azelf has Uproar, which means it's going to be extremely hard to put it to sleep, especially with a delayed move like Yawn. So yeah, there's really no putting it to sleep. And, you know, I've been thinking about it, and you know what? I'm gonna go for it anyway, see if I can do it without putting it to sleep. And if I can't do it right now, then I guess I'll postpone it until the post-game. But for now, I'm at least going to give it an honest effort. And just so you know, I reshuffled my items a bit so that Giratina has the Shell Bell, since, well, Togekiss didn't really need it that much since it already has Roost, and the Shell Bell goes along great with Giratina's defenses, and yeah. Azelf, as you can see, has Swift, and it also has Uproar, both of which Giratina is immune to. So the real danger is this, Future Sight. It may not look like that much, right now at least when I'm gonna get hit, but remember that this thing also has Nasty Plot, which can make it a lot more damaging. So, it's in the low yellow. I don't think I can really damage it any more than that. So, here we go. Gonna start throwing balls and see what happens. Uproar. Nah, don't even bother doing that. You can Swift and Uproar until the cows come home. You're not going to be laying a hand on Giratina with anything else but Future Sight. And the good news about Future Sight is that it can only hit once every 3 turns. Azelf can't just go and spam it, because if there was already a Future Sight that's been sent, it can't just send another one and hit 3 turns after. You gotta wait until your current Future Sight hits. And I would also like to point out that even though Future Sight hit Giratina after Azelf used Nasty Plot, it was a special attack that Azelf had at the time of using Future Sight that was taken into account. And it did 38 damage, so if it were to do another Future Sight right now, it would probably do around 80. And, yeah, quick calculation means that even with maxed out special attack, Azelf can't one-hit KO Giratina with Future Sight, but it's still fairly close, and a critical hit would, of course, seal the deal. So, no, this one isn't working either. Well, at least Azelf seems content just spamming those normal attacks, and not using Nasty Plot, and not even Future Sight, so it's at least good news. The fight is going about as well as it could possibly go right now. And here we go, Future Sight. Let's see how much it does. 63? First one did 38, but this one did 63. I'm not sure what's going on here. Maybe it was just a variation in damage rolls, though even there, it looks suspicious. I don't think that's possible. So, no, I honestly have no clue what's going on. I'm just going to keep chucking dust balls, because I think even with the Nasty Plot it just did, Giratina can still survive the next Future Sight. No, it probably won't, though. Do I heal or don't I? Well, I'm gonna keep chucking balls, and if push comes to shove, as I said, I'm just going to try until my team gets swept. And if it doesn't work, well, I'll just postpone it until a later time. So, okay, let's keep throwing those balls. Hopefully one of them will catch them before the situation gets too out of hand. By the way, there's still that Shiny Suicune event going on until Sunday, February 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern. After that, after 7 p.m. Eastern, it's not going to work anymore, because the event is based on the British time zone. So if you don't have your shiny Suicune yet, don't wait until the last second or you may regret it. Oh, it's looking good! It's looking good! Yes! Azelf was caught! I am so relieved to see those words on my screen. I sincerely thought this attempt wouldn't work and I'd have to wait until another time, but this is the magic of Dusk Ball, folks. Those things are just amazing. So we caught Azelf, which means I got every legendary I want to go after right now. As I said before, Mesprit is going to have to wait. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to fly to Pastoria to heal my team, and after that, now that all the legendaries have been caught and the entrance to the Turnback Cave is still blocked, we're going to head to Sunny Shore after that, since Pastoria is the closest city to Route 222. That's why I flew there in the first place. And I'm just healing my Pokemon after that. I'm just gonna check for kicks what nature I got for Azelf, even though, as I said, it's not gonna make a whole lot of difference because I don't plan on using it because of the massive type overlap with Uxie. Okay, so what do we got here? Bold Nature? Wow, I really lucked here. It's one of the best natures for Azelf, actually. It's not modest or timid, but as far as the others go, it's still very good. Now, I gotta take out a team member. I'm gonna go with Lucario. And, okay, which one had Rock Smash? I think it was Tropius. I'm gonna check just to be sure. Yeah, it's the one with Rock Smash, because as far as I know, Rock Smash is the only HM required on Route 222. So, B-Barrel is gonna stay in the box for now until I need it. Of course, Fly and Surf can be covered just fine by Giratina and Vaporeon, respectively. So, with that in mind... Oh, by the way, the Bold Nature for Azelf, it lowers attack and boosts defense. And since attack is a stat that Azelf doesn't use a whole lot, except if it wants to blow up, well, it's one of the best natures you can get for it. So now we're on Route 222, and one fun fact about that route is that it's one of the few places where you can find a Chatot in the wild, and the reason why I'm mentioning this is that Chatot, many people seem to overlook it because it's just a rather crappy Pokemon, but Chatot actually is a fairly peculiar Pokemon, and that's because of its signature move, which is Chatter. Now, Chatot is the only Pokemon that can learn Chatter. Not even Smeargle can, even through Sketch, so don't try it because it's not gonna... What?! It survived?! It actually survived my Earthquake?! Well, okay, sure. I have a 2-level advantage here, and it's a fully evolved Luxray, but I still thought that'd be enough to kill it. But no, it has to hang on with 1 HP just to spike me. Well, this means that I'm going to need lots of levels before I think of taking on the last gym, because, yeah, Volkner's got a Luxray too, along with an assortment of high-end as far as in-game goes, because fully evolved Raichus and Electivires aren't seen very often in-game. But still, Giratina is going to need a lot more levels than that if it wants to be able to beat Volkner with ease. But back to what I was talking about, which was Chatter. As I was saying, you can't even sketch it, so Chatot is really the only Pokemon that can learn Chatter legitimately. And the fun thing about this move is that it has either a 1%, 11%, or 31% chance of confusing the opponent, depending on what you record for Chatot's Cry. Because that's something else. You can change your Chatot's Cry by screaming into the DS, and the louder it is, the higher the confusion chance is going to be. At least that's what I've read. I think that's how it works. And for that matter, I wonder how it works on simulators, because obviously you can't do that on simulators. So, and as you might expect, I've never bothered using a Chatot before because it's just a bad Pokemon. Not as bad as the likes of, for example, Farfetch'd, of course, though I think I would still use it over Pidgeot, to be honest. But yeah, the chance of confusion is apparently based on how loud you scream into your mic, and it doesn't go any higher than 31%. Back when the game first came out, Diamond and Pearl that is, many of us thought that since Sarah B didn't list an added effect chance that it's gotta be 100%, but sadly that is not so. And that would have been a shame because Chatot would have kicked ass if that was the case. Well, maybe not really, but still. A confuse ray that deals consistent damage? Well, that would have been awesome! But, of course, Game Freak being Game Freak, they decided to not give that toy to a Pokemon that would have really needed it. And one last fun fact about Chatter is that if you hack it on any other Pokemon than Chatot, it's not going to be confusing anything at all. The chance is 0%. Now, why they programmed it that way, I don't know. Maybe because you can't change the cry of any other Pokemon than Chatot. But anyway. Okay. What's he talking about now? Oh, okay. That's the guy who gives the fling at TM. Fairly worthless in Generation 4, however, nowadays it has become quite popular in recent days because of the advent of Poison Heal Gliscor. The way it works is that you let your Toxic Orb poison you, then you fling the Toxic Orb to something you want to poison, and after that, you can use the move Acrobatics with double power, that is 110, with no drawback whatsoever. No! You gotta be kidding me! Wait a second. Is Tropius the one? Nah. Okay, fine. I'll go and get B-Barrel at the end of this video. Jeesh, I thought Rock Smash was the only thing I needed, but no, apparently I need Cut too. Super. So as I was about to say, Fling nowadays has a use on a Pokemon that's one of the best out there, to be honest, because of the combination of Poison Heal, Earthquake, double power Acrobatics whenever you've thrown your Toxic Orb away, and the potential to also inflict poison on something else. That is really, really cool. It's become one of my favorites to use because it's just cheap like that. I just love it. But back to the game here for a moment. We've taken the northern path here, but there's also a path that goes through a beach. You can sort of see part of it right now. And on that beach, there are a lot of fishermen that just love to use Gyarados. So this is probably going to be a really awesome spot for Uxie to grind, since, as you may remember, I gave it Thunderbolt. In fact, the full move set right now, if you didn't catch it in the first 2 seconds, is Psychic, Thunderbolt, Yawn, because it's always useful to have a second sleeper, and also Reflect. Now, last video I said I wasn't too sure whether I'd use Light Screen or Reflect. I thought of maybe using Light Screen to make things easier against Cynthia's Milotic, but since I've got a nature that both increases special defense and decreases physical defense, I decided that it would be a better idea to teach it Reflect. A giant Remoraid? Yeah, if you bring him a Remoraid, he's gonna measure it, and I guess you get some kind of reward. But as you've probably guessed, I'm not gonna bother with it at all in this LP. Now, this building. What's the deal with this building, you might ask? I'll tell you. Next time. Okay, fine, game. Have it your way. I went back for B-Barrel, so now I can cut that tree and collect the item, which is a Carbos. Happy now? You happy now, game?